Hey all, we are at the Glen in the Xfinity car. The first of 2 road course races coming up. We are doing awesome. We have a really good setup, so I really didn't work on it. I just threw it in. The last setup I raced here. And I have the video up. I'm watching it on the other screen and I'm like, wow, I did some interesting changes. So I didn't go that way. I made a wedge change in the race. Instead, I made a tire pressure change. And the jury's still out, but I think it's handling better than it did with the wedge in that, that race. But like all heat tracks, there are some glitches. And that sucks. In turn 1 on the left, this big rumble strip here, if you hit it wrong, there's a couple of spots, usually close together. You get on the gas or you just hit it, you bump over it and it will knock you to the right sideways and into that inside wall if you're not careful. The bus stop here, oh man. I'm learning something. I learned something about the bus stop. If you're quick, you saw something that looked like a railroad tie embedded in the corner bump, corner rumble strip. That's a glitch. If you hit that, you get knocked all kinds of sideways. 99% of the time, you end up wrecking them. There's a glitch in that rumble strip on the right behind me. If you hit it a certain way, it knocks you to the left, into that left wall there. I hit that bumpy glitch over here on the left like 3 times. See, I stayed, there's like a hump in the middle of that. And I stayed to the right of it with my left side tires, and I was able to get by. There's a bump there that'll mess you all up. I forgot about that. Yeah, here, I don't know, there it is. There's that glitch. You saw it embedded in the dirt tracks there. It's in the grass right next to the corner bump. There's one at the other one. And those are usually indicative of seams in the graphics scenery. And like at Darlington, you get it out of turn 2 over there because they basically cut and pasted turns onto straightaways or straightaways onto turns. That's where the old and the new, whatever they were doing or different, met. And they can cause glitches. And it's weird because they're not so bad on fresh tires, but on old tires, they get worse and worse and worse. Certain setups make make them harder to navigate. So it's best to avoid them altogether. There it is, see? You can straddle it, like I did. But don't get your tires in that, and you'll instantly realize once you know why you should never get your tires stuck in there. So I thought I'd get a little faster than I did, but I moved. That's new record time for me, 107.8 here. I'm pretty sure I got faster on heat 5, but the track drives just a little bit differently, and usually you're about 0.2 faster anyway, so I want to say I've gotten down into the sixes there, but I know guys who, you know, in the fives and sixes in Xfinity. I think maybe even a couple guys hit fours. It's hard to hit those super lap times consistently, partly because of all the glitches on these tracks. You know, but basically, when you race, you know, a road course, you're typically, if you're not the guy that they're chasing, that's like a second faster than the rest of the field, then you're chasing a guy who's a second faster than the rest of the field, and the only hope you have of beating him is if he really screws up, which happens because of the glitches and because of the way heat works, you know? Like, that guy I was passing up here on the right around this turn here, there's a bump. And if you hit it wrong, that can knock you sideways or into the wall or into the guy. And, yep, that's trouble. I use a very low brake bias. At this track, it's 50%. So it gets me a little out of shape entering the carousel. But what it allows me to do is if I overblow the corner, or I'm going to hit the wall, or I can't get the nose pointed, I can Harvick it. I can hit the brake, and the brake will actually help point me. Very maneuverable, but you got to be careful. Inherently, the fastest setups need to be unstable. The best fastest setups are unstable in a particular way, so that you can take advantage of that, like there. See, knowing your passing spots is important. You know, just because you get a run on a guy doesn't mean you have to go for a pass every single time. I like to time my passes for the places that will have, there's the glitch, the best chance of success. Because you don't want to be the guy that wrecks the other guy when you're trying to pass him. You just don't. As it's dumb. Ruins the rhythm of the race. Pisses somebody off. And you know, like in the league I used to run, if you're involved in a caution, you go to the back on the restart. You know, manual cautions, under manual cautions. And you don't want that. You don't want that handicap if you're fighting for the lead and then all of a sudden, you know, you got to go back to 15th. Maybe you don't have enough time to get back up front. Who knows? You know, road courses, if you got a great car, I can understand you being so cavalier kind of thing. I know some guys like that. But for the most part, smart racing says don't volunteer to give up what you got. You know, there's calculated risk, and then there's just, you know, stupidity. Be the calculated risk guy, you know. Because you might not win that race. Or you might. But you won't finish last. Or, you know, far back. And guys will respect you for that. Because lately it seems everybody that gets on these games is just, you know, oh man, you stopped in front of me all the time. Oh, I'm sorry I hit you. And that's just not cool. And you know, I watch a lot of sim racing. A lot. And you know, sometimes you can kind of tell, you know, you got a fast guy, like, you know, he made a went to make a pass, got involved in the caution. Now he's in the back of the pack on the restart. And he's coming through, and he's annoyed that, you know, whatever, he's got to come back up through. And then, you know, he knows he's faster than the guys in front of him starting out until he can get past them. Might even have the fastest car on the track. And then just drive it like everybody else is just as fast as you is just as dumb as, you know, causing a caution like that, or just like, oh, well, you know, he was slow. Yeah, you drove through him. You still drove through him. You know, that's still on you. Now, everybody makes mistakes. I make mistakes. But, you know, if I make 1 or 2 per race, it's a lot. You know, and then I know guys, you know, they make mistakes like, you know, every lap. I'm exaggerating only a little bit. And, you know, to me, if you're going to race with other guys, you know, you should be respectful. And being respectful means that you know what you can and can't do, and you know, have a good idea of when you should and shouldn't do it. You know, when you're coming down, like, you guys are following me at Pocono, you know, I didn't want to get into anybody, but I was put in a situation where I had a goal, and I treat that a little bit like, you know, it's like a sponsor deal, you know, kind of thing. I gotta, like Dylan, you know, at Richmond. Not that, you know, I would go to those extremes, but, you know, that's part of racing. And, you know, adding that, you know, element into it, you know, kind of like makes it a little bit more real in those moments, you know, when you're deep in the sauce, as it were. I had to hit the brake there from spinning out. I have to make some changes to this setup. It's a little bit too free. I haven't touched anybody, right? And they're really slow. So it can be done. I've made mistakes making moves like that. Yeah, I don't know if I was clear of them, so I get the wheel turned too much. It's one of the things you got to be careful of in this particular setup. They brake better than we do. It's one of the myriad advantages that the AI guys have. But luckily, for the most part, they're programmed slow, so those advantages tend to cancel out. So what I noticed is towards the end of the run, it's like 30 lap full run, it gets loose. So as I said, I managed the wedge the last time here, but I don't think that worked out so good. So instead, what I did was I upped the front tire pressures, both of them, equally. I think I'm a pound and a half up after 2 changes, 3 changes. Caution in there, and I think I made it looser, which is interesting. I guess it puts more, it makes the front end more sensitive with the way I have the camber set, so it just kind of like puts everything on the front end. Whoa! Ah, see, that was a mistake. Not a bad one, but that was a mistake. And, see, no caution. Didn't even see it. I forget that they can brake so much more. So what? So I'm a little confused as to. Whoop! Amazed I didn't get a penalty there. See, in my league, that would be a penalty. But in career mode, when I do the when I do races like this, I just let the game call it. If the game calls it, that's fine. But I got really loose and, you know, a little confused as to why. I'm gonna make probably gonna make some camber, tire pressure, sway bar, or track bar adjustments. Because the balance is good, it just gets a little bit too loose at the end of a run. Did that on purpose. I didn't touch anybody there. This is also the first of 2 road course races. I only have 1 road course car. And the better I bring this car home, the better off I'll be at Mid-Ohio, which is the next race. I only get 1 week to fix it. So I've had 1 little incident which you saw, and I have not touched anything else this race, except for that 1 little bump under braking. Yeah, it's loose. See, I was 4% and I was trying to fix that. Now I'm like 10%. Again, like an opposite thing. So I can pit any time. But I'm working like a real race strategy. So it's important that I stay out until I have to pit for gas. And what's interesting is that I'm usually used to this thing being tight and getting a lot of wheel spin, you know, trying to jam the thing around a turn, you know, goosing the gas. And so it's easier to drive when it's actually fairly neutral to start with, and then it gets loose. Doesn't make it any faster. It actually slows you down, not because of traffic there, but because you just don't have the grip to hang it out. It's gonna spin out on you because the rears just aren't gripping. Like through here, this is one of the bad sections. Contact. Here. Normally I could power through that, but there it just wanted to get around. Now if you listen to my on and off the throttle, I basically feather it, especially when I'm loose. I don't have a lot of traction, so I can still maintain, you know, good speed. Caution! 15 laps to go. I only got 5 cars on the lead lap, so say 22 in case there's a See, I had it down to 3 in that race, but I'm not going to do that. Let's go with that. That's what I started with. It's either 21 and 19, that's 21 and a half and 19. That's what I started with. 15 laps shouldn't be that big of an issue. It's 12 laps. It's going to be less of an issue. Yeah, one of the issues that I have with this game is not being able to program your buttons, because you have to hit the D-pad, left, right, up, down pad, and it's by my left thumb on the steering wheel. Most of them put it in the same spot. Well, that's not bad, but it really is only good when you're going straight. If you're in a turn and you need to look over, yeah, you gotta figure out where that fucking button is. And it's a lot of times it's almost impossible, you know. And then like people like, oh, well, you know, why are you in the cockpit? You get on top of the car and you can see everything. I can't drive like, you know. In real life, I don't sit on my hood or my roof to drive. I lose perspective. I lose a lot of what I do, be able to do with a different view. I've tried, you know, and you know, back in the day, I am so old that, you know, my original games, they only had the cockpit view, first 3 or 4 of them, and I think it was NASCAR Racing in '94, which I got in '95. That offered different views, because the consoles, I guess, were offering different views at the time. I was on PC, and I tried it. It's kind of like cool. You get to see what's going on the tracks and stuff, but I couldn't drive. You know, I go in there where you come off like 6 inches from the wall, and I hit the wall. So it was of no benefit to me. It was a detriment. You know, it made me slower. So I've been racing in cockpit since video games, you know, since they were all in cockpit. No, I was never a fan of Mario Kart, Mario Brothers. I'm not into those games. You know, the games that I was into back in the day were, I like Space Invaders, but once you beat that, it's like, okay, well, let's play another game. Unless, you know, you go back every once in a while, like you might with COD, and just, you know, run through the campaign, just to, you know, relive that, because some of them are really cool. You know? MW3, not the new one, the original one is my favorite of those, if anybody cares. So it's hard, right? On the PC, I have these games on the PC. On the PC, you can program it. So I go in there, right? And one of the things I do is, there's 2 things. You're right, I gotta look at them, see what they're called. Get out the straightaway. I don't have a lot of light here either at the moment. Oh, your R4, whatever the button is that's like all the way down. I used to set those because I could hit it with the heel of my hand, and that was good. And before that, I had one of my older wheel sets. I think it was a Thrustmaster, old Thrustmaster, and it had paddle shifters, which I thought was cool because I would play IndyCar every once in a while. Talking about 30 years ago. No, 20 years ago. They didn't have it then yet. late 90s sort of stuff. And the paddle shifter, I didn't use the paddles. I think that one had a sequential shifter too, so which is what I used on IndyCar. Anyway, so I set the paddles as my left and right look, and it worked out really good because you can hit those no matter how the steering wheel is turned. Little things. This is one of the things I learned about the bus stop. The bus stop is terrible because it's cut and pasted. That's why it has those seams showing with the glitches. So if you enter a certain way and your steering wheel is turned a certain way and you hit those corner bumps, you're gonna have weird things happen, like just happened to me there. If you try to run through it like, you know, like they do in real life without touching the rumble strips at all, yeah, you're gonna probably spin out if you have a fast setup, because you need it to be loose and moving around for the other turns like these, you know, to hit them at maximum speed. So when you get to the bus stop, it's like right, left, right, and that usually screws up most cars' suspension. So enter like that. I was a little bit too far over, and so you try to kick me out. But there's a way to enter it where you straddle the curbs and you're good. Now, I could go through this. A lot of guys who are fast go through there straight, but you know, in our league, you can get a penalty if you go too far. So I don't do that. I drive it kind of like in real life, because, you know, but the game allows you to do that. And most guys that are fast on road courses are, I'm talking stupid fast. You know, I'm not talking like, you know, maybe a second faster than me. I'm sure there are guys on wheels that are all over the place and even faster than that. But all the guys that I've ran with that were, you know, ridiculously fast, running 106s, you know, every lap, they're on controller, and the controller gives you a handicap. It's more forgiving in the steering, it's more forgiving in the braking, it's more forgiving in the tire wear. There's a bunch of things that they click off as permanent, I forget what they call those settings, which I don't have on. Driver aids. But they don't penalize you for it. You know, like you throw on driver aids on a wheel, you know, you go slower because the car doesn't handle like right at all. But they do it because they feel that, and I agree, that having a wheel is an advantage. It is. But they kind of overcompensated because you just can't get the same, you know, you can run a looser setup essentially and have it be more stable. I've ran a lot of guys controller setups, can't run it on a wheel. It's just ridiculously unstable to drive, and that sucks. You know, so they'll always have, you know, an advantage. Ooh, I just blew this. I did that on purpose so I wouldn't go in the grass and get a penalty, as I have a really big lead. As long as I don't wreck myself, don't cause caution, we'll be good to go. 10 laps. That's just a little bit off. So with that said, you know, don't go getting on your friends or having a controller, you know. That's what you got, that's what you got. I mean, for a stretch, I didn't have a wheel. I wanted a wheel. I couldn't get a wheel because they were hard to find. Good ones are hard to find, and I don't want to get a crappy one. So I realized, because I also did flight sim games, I had a joystick. And I had a joystick, it's Logitech Extreme 3D. And I have one in the closet from the 90s. It's got one little issue with it that I never fixed. And I have a new one, and this for flying. But if my wheel died and I really wanted to race or had to race, I could hook up the joystick. You use the on a PC, you just assign the throttle. It has a throttle as the as the accelerator, the gas pedal, and then I would use the trigger button as a brake. On the computer, you get to, I could assign more than one button, for the same function. This computer is like normal. It's not hardwired in the way they do things. So, it just makes it simpler for guys on console, especially younger guys, girls, younger people. They just get used to whatever it is and whatnot. Like, I started playing COD. I'm trying to think when the first one came out. 97, 98, 99, somewhere in there. On PC. And my son got the Xbox. He had an Xbox with the Xbox version. And we used to go head to head, or I think it was just split screen back then. I kind of remember that you could have up to 4 people in the first few games. So my daughter, when she was younger, but she wanted to play with us, so we would play 2-on-1. Because my son was ridiculously good at COD. He still is. But he won't play it anymore. He's into all that fantasy RPG stuff. It's on his Twitch channel, ACDC115. I share his stuff on Facebook sometimes. Help him out, build his channel. He just started like a month ago. He just finished up Elder Ring, and I forget what the new game he's going to now. Yeah. He doesn't understand. A lot of people don't understand. I'm old, right? I was playing stuff like that in the 80s. Lots of stuff. The 80s, 90s, early 2000s. And I am like all, in certain types of game, I'm all gamed out. I love racing, I don't see me giving up racing anytime soon. I also like strategy games, and I won't give up those anytime soon either. When I say strategy games, I'm so old. I'm an old Avalon Hill fan, which got me into strategy games. Avalon Hill is a board gaming company that put out some landmark wargaming board games, like Panzer Leader, Battle of Midway, Pacific Theater, blah blah blah. And then they started making them for PC. I was hooked. Both the live versions of the combat flight sims, the few naval sims. I have a few new ones that came out, and it's I'm old, and that's what I like. I'll do that every day. Whereas I almost got the Harry Potter game. I love Harry Potter, but that's like, just to whatever. I don't know, like, I was like, maybe I can stomach that, because I like Harry Potter, but I had it in the cart and I didn't get it because I saw how they do it. A lot of it is how they do these games, you know. That was a moment. Anyway, so here we are, 82 laps. You're basically 20, 20, and 40. For the stages, you can go about 31, 32 laps. You can probably go about 35, 36, but not 40. I know somebody who probably could, but you tend to slow yourself down too much. You know, there's a point of diminishing returns, and you got to know that when it comes to, you know, oh, I'll just save gas. Yeah, you'll make it, but you're not going to be ahead of anybody if you're going that slow. So you got to be careful, you know, when you you make those decisions. Yeah. That me? That was a mistake. That was the mistake there. Yeah. No. Did I do that? That. Oh, and that's it. Yeah. Okay, so we get like nothing. Yeah. Anyway, sorry for the really boring vid. Boring for the driver. You know, is a great thing. Boring for the fans is a lousy thing. And TV. Yeah. Well, I'm sorry about that. As a driver, I endeavor to make it as boring as possible. Because then you get results like this. Yeah, that's my new track record here. Let's see how we did. Remember, we were also trying to bring home as clean a car as possible to be able to bring the best car to the next race. 79, 79, 80. Yes. Okay, you can't finish a race better than that. That's cool. Even though we had that one little issue, that is awesome. So now when we put the mechanic on the car, it's going to be 92, 92, 92 instead of anything less than that. So the choice is bring in a 92 road course car, which will handle better because it's a road course car, to Mid-Ohio, where we struggle at anyway, or bring like a speedway car or a short track car that'll be an 88 because you get a 12 skill rating penalty. So couldn't have turned out better when we won the race too. So yeah, it's good to also run the Xfinity series after Pocono with two rivals trying to wreck you every time you go past them. Yep. I don't recommend you try it. I'll just suffer through it. Okay, and then we come here for Watkins Glen next for the Cup Series. So what do we got? The Glen, Michigan, Bristol, and Darlington. Now, see, I haven't run a lot of Cup on Heat 4 in career mode or such, because we were only on it for one season, you know, in my league, and we had a whole different way of practicing back then, and so let's see. We should win the Glen. We should win Michigan, and we should win Bristol. And I venture to say we should win Darlington. Now, if this is Xfinity, I would be like, you know, 99%. But it's Cup, and they're faster. So you know, 4 top 5s, I think we can do that. And that's going to push us. But I think we can do that. We managed a top 5 at Pocono with a really unstable, ill-handling, fast car. You know, the one saving grace, it was fast. So we could definitely use another 800 grand towards, you know, getting a new team. You notice money in the bank is a little bit low, only 1.2, because we fleshed out the mechanics on the Xfinity team to make sure that we weren't lacking any help to get any of the cars ready. You know, we had the road courses back to back and such. So, not bad at all. Okay. So thank you very much for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, comment, and ask me any questions, and we will see you next time.